Welcome back to the Steam Zone. Noah, we've got a lot of good topics, a lot of good segments today. But I think where we start is episode 5 Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back. We've been talking a lot about on this podcast and in the defense tech and reindustrialized movement. Hey, nice shirt. Movement about how the current, there's this new moment, everyone, new builders, but don't forget about the primes. Don't forget about the traditional players. Noah, there's an article about Oracle. I hope everyone checks. I bought the stock early, but Oracle is up huge because of the announcement of a huge new deal with OpenAI. Break it down for us. Is this a real deal? What's going on here?
Buy the stock early. Oracle's been around since I think the 1970s, so you'd had a good amount of time to get involved in Oracle. Yeah, here's the deal, Ben. Larry Ellison comes roaring back. The
The
stock's
young
up,
gun,
closes up 40%. A young,
founder mode.
spry
Larry
81-year-old spry young CEO, not from the Gundo. I'll have $100 billion increase in his wealth in a day as the stock rockets. Here's the deal. $300 billion deal with OpenAI for compute. The reality has been they've quietly been stockpiling NVIDIA GPUs over the last few years. Those graphics processing units, those coveted chips, those have been the constraint in the market. We've covered them on the Steam Zone before. There was some concern around shipping them to China. We've heard that it's demand constrained, or excuse me, it's supply constrained, not demand constrained. There's more demand from the AI labs than the NVIDIA and AMD and these others know what to do with. And yet Oracle's been buying these up. So it turns out they have deals with everybody. Amazon, or Amazon's AI team, OpenAI, Anthropic, all these guys are signing deals with Oracle for access to these chips. And for years, Ben, for years, I've been hearing people made fun of the Oracle cloud. Software engineers, you have a software company, Ben. You should ask your engineers if they're developing on Oracle cloud or if they use AWS or Azure, right? Like it was AWS or Azure is all you ever heard about. And then the government, yeah, Google as well. Oracle now roaring back. The lesson here, I think there is a lesson here about big companies. The 50-year, 60-year almost overnight success story that is Oracle. What do you make of all this, Ben?
Yeah, I think we've talked about this a few weeks ago in the VC segment, right, Matt, where we had to think about what do we need to assume about all these new valuations. One of the things we needed to assume was that the traditional players didn't strike back. That you could just grab the whole market. And we just know that's not true. That there is going to be a fight. That these people got big for a reason, and maybe they got a little stagnant, but they are not going to go silently into the night. And maybe that's good too. Like it's positive for the world if Oracle makes new products too. It doesn't all have to come from startups, though I'm a big believer in startups. You can
I think there's arguments on both sides of that question, or do we want the big skip big? But this is one of those it's a key law. It's actually part of the power law, right? You're talking about VCs on the other side, but VCs understand this acutely, which is that your winners compound. The all-in guys that you got to let your winners ride, right? It's why these VCs, they have follow-on funds, they have growth funds. The idea is when you find something that works, the odds are that winning teams are going to keep winning. And Oracle is a behemoth. Now, they could have gone the way of 2000s, mid 2000s GE, and they could have overly bureaucratized themselves, and they could have fallen off the wayside. Now, there were a lot of people who thought they were dead man walking, but what they were actually doing was a careful strategy, plotting their time, and now you're seeing it ripping. I think there's an interesting analogy here to the defense, to the national security, the primes, man. People now, we see people are saying, okay, the primes have value, but we don't really know. We haven't fully understood how the primes, the Lockheeds, the Northrops, the Boeings of the world, the big guys, are navigating the current kind of defense tech craze. They've not been super trigger happy. They're not snapping up these companies, but we're not really sure. We don't really have a good picture into the R&D and the internal development that's going on inside these companies. So it wouldn't shock, I think a lot of people, certainly wouldn't shock me it's not, Lockheed Martin is probably not going to disappear off the face of the planet. And might the big winner of all of this new money that's pouring into defense be some of the incumbents? What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. And even if we take it to the larger, everyone's making fun of Apple, right? The tepid release this week, new iPhone, and maybe they'll be laughing once. They'll just slop up whatever model goes cheap, and all of a sudden their AI failures will be an AI success. Who knows? But I think it does say let's not be captured by the moment, right? Whatever's hot on Twitter, whatever's hot for a week, like these things have 50-year legacies. So let's just be watching out for the long-term story and not just miss the forest for the trees.
Big successful companies have a lot farther to fall. They have more room to run. They have a longer ramp to figure it out. Startups don't have that don't have that benefit. You don't get your small seed round startup doesn't get 6 years to figure out their strategy and bide their time. They got to move fast. But the big we're not playing
Yeah.
the same game. I think it's
It's like
important.
Succession, right? Everyone loves the TV show Succession, but until he literally keeled over, their old man was still in the game making moves, right? Everyone kept doubting him, thinking he was losing his edge, and he kept coming back. So I think in order to
I've
kill
never
some of
seen the
these big
show.
companies, oh, you're gonna have to kill them.
I will take your word for it.
Next week we'll do our season one recap of Succession. No, and I know the fans have been clamoring.
All right. Let's close that one.
You haven't seen Succession? What the fuck?